¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome, folks. It is Thursday. Welcome to the Thursday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Thursday. Sorry about that, of course. Again, I got held up by my job. So sorry about that, folks. I hope there's no JP today. No. No. Not today. How's it going, Michael Hassler? Quick thank you to Real Radhom for a huge shout out yesterday. Thank you. I will not subject you to Dr. Jordan Peterson. No, not today. We'll see how much time I have. But yeah, I doubt we'll get to any of that. Let me see. What do we have? Dr. Old Lady Voice, true. Work sucks. I know. How's it going, bipedal meatbag? Did I just like... Yeah, I probably just gave my age away. Helda Rose, how's it going? Howdy. Can we just get like can we just get 5 seconds to give a shout out to Base of PJ for this phenomenal tweet? Hold on. Hold on, folks. I gotta show you this. George Santos barricaded in an office as a mom calls for his resignation. Yeah, he should resign. Jordan P. Peterson is just Kermit with a PhD. Does he have a PhD? Or is he, does he even have a... Yeah, he's a doctor. Well, doctorate, isn't he? I appreciate the howdy. It reminds me of home. Well, I can only think of a few places where that might be. All right, folks, let's get let's get into it. Oh man, this is such a great tweet. So I guess we'll just start with this meme. The memes. Base of PJ. Friend of the channel. Came out with this banger of a tweet. Because he got blocked by Jimmy Dore. Good memes. You see, like, I usually try not to ruffle a lot of feathers, but I would consider getting blocked by Jimmy Dore. I would consider that a solid W. I would consider that a solid W. So congratulations to Base of PJ. Phenomenal stuff. It seems any moron can get a PhD with a pen and enough money these days. Damn, that's all I need? Well, I gotta get working on it then. Alright, folks. Since I don't have too much time, I'll try to get through as much of the news as the news TM as possible. Only if your name is George Santos. True.
Please clap.
You already have a PhD in calling out BS? Oh, shit! True. I think so too. I'm gonna put that I'm gonna put that in my Twitter bio. PhD in calling out bullshit. I think well, I've done this way more than 4 years. I've done this way more than 4 years. What's 2012? Oh shoot. Has it been 2012? Has it been already like 11 years? Wow. Jeez. You need to print out a diploma that need to print out a diploma that says that. Yeah, I need a a diploma that says that. I'm actually considering, can I make like a fake a fake a fake diploma and print it out and put it like behind me? I think that's what I'm going to do. See if anybody notices. It'll just be between us, all right? Let's see. Yes, I think we have somebody. Templates. Let's see. Is this a Facebook cover? No, I need a diploma. Diploma? Should I make myself like a certificate or like an actual diploma? Maybe like a master's call out of a caller out of BS, since what you do is more of a skilled kind of trade. True. True. I shouldn't downgrade myself to a certificate. Let's see if I can find something here. This one kind of looks... Oh no, this is like a certificate of achievement. No, this is... No, not an appreciation certificate. I wish ammo is... What does that have to do with the conversation at hand? Are you okay? Certificate of bullshit recognition? Yes. Okay, we can do something like that. Let's see if I can edit one of these. Oi, no, come back. Alright, hear me out, chat. Alright, look, check it out. Out of all the things, it just seems like a weird comment to say. But, okay. Hold on. Sure, I'll do it like this. Let's see. Alright. Let's see if I can do it now. Yes. Alright. Yeah, I wish eggs were cheaper too. Awarded on June 11th of 2049. Yes. Advanced International School of Bullshit Detection. There you go. There you go. Oh man, I need to save this and I need to... Oh, you know what? Maybe I can just put it in the background as part of... I'm gonna print one out and then I'm gonna also put it as part of like the little layout over here. Just as like a meme Easter egg, okay? Download. Sure. No, I don't... What? Did I actually download it or what? Let me see. Oh, yep, I think I did. All right. Here we are. So now we just gotta add a image. We'll call it meme certificate. There it is. Look at my diploma, chat. The little icon is blue. Gotcha. Look at my hard-earned diploma. Hey, Echo Wrestle Dragon. How's it going? What's what's happening? I just earned a diploma. Look at that. I earned a diploma in the Advanced School of Bullshit Detection, okay? That's what that diploma says. I am certified. I am a certified bullshit detector, okay? Bipedal Meatbag with the tier 1 sub for 2 months. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I just got my erythritol today. You know, my girlfriend taught me how to pronounce that, and I still cannot do it properly. Let's try this again. Erythritol? Erythritol? Okay, whatever. The thing that's like not sugar, but it's sweet. That's much better than sugar. Maple Leaf Dragon. What a distinguished and educated gentleman. True. Yeah, it's a sweetener. I don't know. That sounds like BS to me. The diploma says otherwise. The diploma says otherwise. but I have one as well. I should know my stuff. Huh, you should. You can major in Game Boy if you know how to bullshit. Well, as a professional bullshit detector, I can assure you that that's probably true. There are there are actual like gaming degrees. It just auto checks. What? There are bots that auto check. Yeah, I just checked the validity of your diploma and it passed the drip. My bad. Sweet. You see, I'm for real. A fool? What? Me? A fool? No. I'm a professional bullshit detector. Okay? Alright. Now that we've got that meme out of the way. Weirdest bot message I've ever read? What? The Posada bot who immediately calls out just in case? You know, it helps us kind of keep an eye on things. Just so you know. Yeah, read the diploma, exactly. Alright. Real quick. Actual story time. Let's take a second with this one. Ah! No, stop it.
We begin with breaking news at 4 o'clock today. Senator John Fetterman has checked himself into Walter Reed Medical Center for severe clinical depression. I'm Natasha Brown.
And I'm Yuki Washington. According to his chief of staff, Fetterman has suffered from depression off and on throughout his life, but it only, quote, became severe in recent weeks.
And health reporter Stephanie Stahl joining us now. Steph, immediately you started calling doctors, just trying to figure out exactly what this means, and tell us a little bit more about what he's possibly going through.
Is this stream U.S. politics mostly?
Exactly what this means. We only know what they're telling us so far. Many neurologists say it is common for stroke.
I mean, not only, but I mean, mostly. If that makes sense. Oh my goodness, what's going on?
Stroke survivors to suffer from major depression. Some become upset over their loss of ability to communicate. We learned Fetterman met with doctors at Walter Reed last night who recommended he seek inpatient treatment. Now, you'll also remember that Fetterman was hospitalized last week after becoming lightheaded at a Democratic retreat in Washington, D.C. There were no signs of a stroke or seizure. Fetterman's health became a big focus after he suffered a stroke last May, just days before the Pennsylvania Senate primary, and continued to suffer from its effects, one of those being auditory processing issues. Fetterman began using a device at events to understand what people were saying to him. His opponents focused on whether Fetterman was healthy enough to be in office. Fetterman's wife, Giselle, tweeted this out. After what he has been through in the past year, there's probably no one who wanted to talk about his own health less than John. I am so proud of him for asking for help and getting the care he needs. This is a difficult time for our family, so please respect our privacy for us. The kids come first. Take care of yourselves. Hold on to loved ones close. You are not alone. Now, coming up at 5 o'clock, I'm talking to a Philadelphia therapist
Old
about what this
politicians
means
being
and
old?
the
Do you know
impact
how
it might
old
have
John
on
Fetterman
John's
is?
career. Senator Fetterman. We should also point out depression.
Wait, do you know, like, are you from the U.S.? Do you know how old actually he is? He's not really old. I have lifelong clinical depression. Then why would you make that statement? What, did you bother, like, taking 5 seconds to kind of, like, maybe just think that one through? I have lifelong clinical depression too, but control it with vitamin D and BP meds. Blood pressure meds. Gotcha. Good on him on getting help, but we know it'll be used against him. Oh yeah, it was. It was and it will. Yes. Which means that the Republicans have the Senate? No. Well, do they? I don't know. 2 megabyte RAM PC. I'm a master's at bullshit detection, and I can assure you, you are incorrect. Do I know about Argentinian politics? No. What's the topic? Politics.
Is very common, not only among people who have strokes, but many, many Americans, millions of Americans have depression, can be effectively treated.
Please keep us updated. That's for sure. Stephanie, thank you.
Thank you so much, Steph. Well, you know, I've reached out to several lawmakers here in Pennsylvania who know Fetterman well. Senator Bob Casey's staff, they sent us this tweet by the senator.
Yeah, so wait. Is it true that the Republicans would have the Senate then? He's 54, that's old. That is not old. That is definitely not old. Is it true that means like the Republicans have the Senate? Or am I missing something? Because I thought it was 51 to 50. I thought it was 51 to 50. Depression isn't easily curable. True.
It says millions of Americans struggle with their mental health. I am proud of Senator Fetterman for getting the help he needs and for publicly acknowledging his challenges to break down the stigma for others. Therese and I are sending our prayers to John, Giselle, and the Fetterman family.
And we will have the very latest on Senator Fetterman's hospitalization and treatment here on CBS News Philadelphia. Any new information will be on air.
All right, so yeah, there you have it. This is just like a small clip to kind of bring it up to speed as to what happened earlier. Fetterman has a compassionate heart and quick wit. He hasn't been able to fully engage us recently. Depression is natural. Yep, it's natural, and you know, also like, as they were saying, it probably was one of the bifactors after that incident. Republicans do not have the Senate. Gotcha. Okay. All right. So now that we got that update, yeah, there would have to be a special election in PA. Gotcha. Alrighty. Wait, I missed it. What happened? Just a TLDR that John Fetterman is checking himself in to get help for clinical depression. Mental health is important, true. That's right, Walker lost. Yeah, that's why I was asking if it was like 50, if it was 51 to 50 So even if he was unavailable, it would be 50-50 with Kamala Harris as the tiebreaker, right? My patience is at an end. Yeah, there he goes. Bye-bye. This is why we have moderators, folks. Yeah, fun fact, insulting a mod will quickly get you banned. True. True. Complete lack of self-awareness will also get you banned. Oh well. Anything can happen, but Kamala's also a vote. True. Yeah, that's why I was saying the even if it was a 50-50 split, Kamala Harris would be the tiebreaker. Only to break ties, though? Yep. All right. Let's talk about this. Remember, the U.S. House of Representative votes and the IRS still exists. Yeah. I am a god, kneel before my splendor. Do I get banned now? Instantly. Tesla just terminated dozens in response to a new union campaign. Yeah. What a great guy. Tesla Inc. Terminated dozens of employees Wednesday at its plant in Buffalo, New York. One day after autopilot workers at the facility announced a union campaign, organizers said in a complaint. In a filing with the U.S. NLRB, the Union Workers Union Workers United accused Tesla of illegally terminating the employees. This is nothing out of pocket for what Elon Musk's company has done. Tesla has engaged in multiple instances of anti-labor behavior. Whether or not it means skirting the rules, they don't really care. Elon doesn't really give a shit about workers. So yeah, this is not out of character. The accused Tesla of illegally terminating employees in retaliation for union activity, and to discourage union activity, the union asked the labor board to seek a federal court injunction to prevent irreparable destruction of employee rights resulting from Tesla's unlawful conduct. Yep, not the first time. Not the first time, nor will it be the last. Several of the terminated employees have been involved in labor discussions, according to the union, including at least one who is a member of the organizing committee. Did your Twitter feed go full Elon for a while? Like, meaning, did I get like more suggestions of his tweets? I did notice that I did get a little bit more suggestions from his tweets. I think so. And I'm coincidentally, I'm also sure. I'm also sure that has nothing to do with Elon's fragile, narcissistic ego. Okay? I'm pretty sure that also has nothing to do with Elon's fragile, narcissistic behavior. Tesla management will cut anyone who isn't on board the company train. It's not surprising. Yeah. It's not just like you're not on board with the company train. It's like you're trying to unionize and they like completely destroy that illegally, I might add. Yeah, so it's like one thing, you know, if you don't want to play ball, whatever, but like they're doing like lawful unionizing. You are allowed to unionize. A company cannot do this or shouldn't be allowed to do this in normal circumstances. If like rules were enforced like they should be, like they should be, then yeah, Tesla should be facing consequences. To be honest, I'm not even sure Elon knew about this until it hit social media. What, like the firings of this? I mean, he's probably too busy pumping his own algorithm at Twitter. Honestly, it's probably what he's doing. This is a form of collective retaliation against a group of workers who started this organizing effort, said Jazz Brizak, a Workers United organizer who's helping spearhead the Tesla union drive. The terminations are designed to terrify everyone about potential consequences of them organizing, as well as attempt to cull the herd. Tesla officials, including Elon Musk and his company's human resource chief, did not respond to inquiries. Tesla disbanded its press relations team in 2020. Cool. An organizing committee of 25 employees who label data for Tesla's autopilot system sent an email to Musk early Tuesday with their intent to unionize. No, so yeah, I think he actually did know about what was going on. They reached out to him directly with the intent to unionize. What does he do all day besides tweet? Tell engineers to make sure his tweet ends up on everybody's feed. That's what he does. Tesla retools facilities very often and layoffs are common then? Oh yeah, no, if it's like a layoff thing, the criticism would be a little bit different. But it's not just like a layoff thing. It's more like these people were trying to unionize. In fact, they directly emailed their intent, and then they all got clapped. Coincidentally. One of the organizers was among those terminated on Wednesday. I feel blindsided. Breck said in a statement provided by the union, I got COVID and I was out of the office and then I had to take bereavement leave. I returned to work. I was told I was exceeding expectations, and then Wednesday came along. Yeah. Cool. Tesla's Buffalo factory employs more than 800 autopilot analysts, non-engineering roles that contribute to Tesla's automated driving development, including by identifying objects and images its vehicle captures and helping its system recognize them on the road. The company dismissed hundreds of workers performing these jobs in California last year, Bloomberg reported in June. In addition to job security and increased pay, employees have said that they seek a say in the workplace decision-making and want to curb monitoring, metrics, and production pressure that they claim are harmful to their health. They say Tesla monitors their keystrokes and tracks how long they spend per task and how much of the day they spend actively working. This leads to some avoiding taking bathroom breaks, and several employees previously told Bloomberg News. On Wednesday, the day after Bloomberg News quoted several Tesla employees discussing their workplace concern, the company sent staff a message announcing new sections of its policy on workplace technology usages. The changes including a directive to protect the confidentiality, integrity, and security of all Tesla business information. Yeah, sure. Workers United successfully organized hundreds of Starbucks Corporation stores last year after securing a landmark win at Buffalo Cafe 6 miles from the Tesla plant. The union has said it also aims to organize roughly 1,000 manufacturing employees at the facility. On Tuesday, Tesla workers circulated leaflets at the plant to both groups of employees with links to a website they could sign union cards. Sarah Costantino, an autopilot worker and member of the organizing committee, said on Wednesday that terminations are galvanizing more workers to support the union effort. It's pretty clear the message they're sending. They're trying to scare us, and I think it's backfiring on them. It's really opened people's eyes to the fact that this is why we need a union. True. Federal law prohibits retaliating against workers for taking collective action about workplace conditions, including by organizing unions. Complaints filed with the NLRB are investigated by regional offices. If labor board officials find merit in these allegations and the company doesn't settle, they prosecute the claims before an agency judge, whose ruling can be appealed to board members in Washington and from their federal appeals court. The agency has the authority to fire the authority to order fired workers reinstated with back pay, but not to make companies pay punitive damages. A bipartisan group of U.S. labor board members ruled in 2021 that Tesla repeatedly violated federal law in Fremont, including by coercively interrogating union supporters and firing one because of his activism. Tesla has denied any wrongdoing and is appealing this ruling. Yeah, sure. So once again, Tesla is involved in these anti-labor antics because, of course. I think you need to take another time to reflect on that statement, on your previous statements, and then this one. After toxic train derailment, Ohio residents report rashes and worries. Fear and uncertainty and anger are mounting. Wait, hold on, folks. Give me a second. Hold on, folks. 1 second. Never mind, folks. All right. Paquita's here. She's just sleeping. But she's here, I promise. She's in studio. Hey, Cosmic Seeking, how's it going? Lucky me indeed. Alright. Let's get this story going. Ohio, fear and uncertainty and anger are mounting among residents of Ohio Village after a train derailment and fire unleashed a glut of toxic chemicals on February 3rd. Officials have tried to assure locals that the town is safe to live in. Newsflash, I don't think so. A message imparted by the EPA Administrator Michael Reagan, who visited the village on Thursday, but many say that's only left them with more questions. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, but no. Concern about air pollution from Norfolk Southern trains wrecked rail cars has given way to long-term worries about contamination of the water and soil in East Palestine and beyond. Many who evacuated as the blaze burned are questioning whether it was safe to come back. Some say they're suffering headaches and rashes and are not comforted by what they see as a lack of solid answers from authorities. Yeah, like, you can't tell me that everything is okay as, like, there have been an untold number of pets, of fish, and other animals that have literally died. And you have people suffering headaches and rashes. That's not normal. And that's just now. That's in the immediate. What I want to know is whether any accountability is going to come from this. Not just from the rail companies, which are primarily to blame, but the politicians too. At a town hall meeting on Wednesday night, residents left with few answers and more anxiety. We don't know what to think, said Michelle Parker, who lives about half a mile from the derailment site, so therefore we don't know what to do. Nearly 2 weeks after that fiery crash, residents like Parker are grappling with whiplash. State officials advised them to drink bottled water on Tuesday, but on Wednesday, said testing showed that the tap water was safe. Yeah, press X to doubt. They can smell the pungent odors, but authorities say that they're not harmful levels of chemical in the air. Bro, how are you telling these... This is like the literal definition of gaslighting. I mean, like, these people have noses, okay? Pretty sure they can see, and they can see the big cloud above them. They can smell. Even as residents report nausea, dizziness, headaches, and other ailments, a spokesperson for Governor Mike DeWine told the Post on Thursday that no doctors who have seen patients have identified the chemical release as the cause for people's symptoms. No. They just happen to have... All these people happen to have those symptoms. Just coincidentally, all of those people magically happen to have the same symptoms. And magically, and I'm sure this is one big coincidence, also happens to have happened at the same time that this train wreck happened. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. When animals and plants are dying, true. Totally safe, everybody. Everything's good to go here. Nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to see here. Yeah, such as colds. Instead, there's usually another explanation, such as colds and flu. Yeah, yeah, dude. Everybody's just coming up with the same symptoms. Yeah, sure. The fire and derailment, which federal investigators have said appeared to have been caused by a mechanical issue, spilled hazardous material, hazardous chemicals including vinyl chloride and butyl acrylate. The threat of an explosion forced the evacuation of about 1,500 residents, and the controlled release of vinyl chloride from unstable rail cars spewed a toxic plume into the air. The Ohio Department of Natural Resources says the chemical spill resulting from this had killed an estimated 3,500 small fish across 7 miles of streams. Yeah, that's what we know as of now. Can you imagine, like, what's going to be the stream effects? Because, like, it turns out that, like, these waterways are all connected. And it's not going to be just contained to these, like, small areas. A massive cleanup is underway around the tracks in East Palestine, a town about 4,700 that sits on the Ohio Peninsula border, and the state is faced with developing long-term plans to track potential contamination. Since the Environmental Protection Agency and Ohio state health officials cleared residents to return a week ago, locals have reported wooziness, nausea, and other symptoms from odors that remain in town. Yeah, dude, totally fine. Everything is okay. Reagan, the EPA administrator, visited East Palestine on Thursday in a continued attempt by officials to reassure residents. He said the agency would use its legal authority to hold Norfolk Southern accountable. Said officials are monitoring the environment for everything that was on that train, and indicated that he would return to his home if he lived there given the air and water test results. Okay. Hey, buddy. How about you spend your remaining time in East Palestine? If you're that confident, why don't you put your money where your mouth is? Why don't you hang out there for a bit, you know? Because it's safe. You're the one that gave the all clear. Why don't you live there? In fact, why since you're a government employee, why doesn't the government cover your expenses to live there for a little bit, you know? It's safe. Right? Hold on, folks. Give me a second. Whew, sorry about that. To be fair, there's lots of things that can kill fish and other animals that have absolutely zero consequences to humans. Subtle changes in water salinity. Yeah, but no. This is nothing like that. You're 100% correct, but no, this is not like that. It really depends on who's saying it's safe. It's like a bunch of scientists who went in and done tests and said it's good to go. That means more than, say, like the army or empty rhetoric from a politician. Well, as far as I'm concerned, this guy is he is a bureaucrat. He's the one that's He's the one that's reassuring. It's the EPA administrator. But like, him and what's the other, like, the local Ohio agency is saying that the Ohio state health officials are clearing residents to return back, but like, there are people who are still suffering symptoms. It's definitely not okay. It's definitely not okay. There are people who can smell the chemical odors still in their home. Yeah, so I'm not sure if that's okay. I would re-enter my home. If people want to go to different places or want more assurances or want time to pass a little bit, they have a right to do that. But for those that can't, I'm asking that they trust the government. And that's hard. We know there's a lack of trust, Reagan said at the told reporters at a news briefing. If we say that the water is safe and the air is safe, we believe it because we've tested it and the data shows it. No. You're saying that we should trust it. But it would be nice if we could maybe see the data, or, I don't know, have more credible, like James Napper said, maybe have like actual scientists come out and kind of like maybe make some type of announcement. But I'm a press X to doubt on that. Not everyone was comforted by the EPA's administrator's assurances. I'm going to East Palestine and will get a glass of water and I'm going to ask him to drink it because I don't believe it. Said Dave Anderson, a farmer nearby in New Galil. In response to Reagan's remarks, Anderson, a plaintiff in a class action lawsuit against Norfolk Southern, said his cattle have had diarrhea since the disaster. Other residents wonder, will their homes be worthless? Will there be long-term health effects? Will the contamination leach and spread until it reaches drinking water? Maybe. Why are people getting sick if there's nothing in the air or water? True. That's a legitimate question, responded Representative Bill Johnson, who told those gathered that he would relay their concerns to Norfolk Southern and Federal Railroad. Yeah, dude, nice. Your concerns are going to be relayed to the perpetrators of the, or to part of the responsible party here. Cool. Assurances that fuck all is probably going to be done. Why would he say that they would relay their concerns to the railroad company who's partially responsible for this shit? Like, okay. That was because Norfolk Southern wasn't even there, though the rail company's CEO has pledged to clean up the contamination. The company backed out of the town hall, citing what they called safety concerns. Oh well. To which that, there is a tweet for that, of course. Norfolk says that they will not attend tonight's town hall because they're increasingly concerned about growing physical threats to employees. I mean, at the same time, we know that many are rightfully angry and frustrated. Yeah, because it's partially your fault. It's partially your fault. Fuckers. Correct. Drop like a little dropping like a little bomb. Yeah, I think they might be a little bit upset. It's saying, at least on this thing, that they've tested the main water sources, but that people using more localized or private sources to book tests just in case. Yeah, I mean, they say they've tested this. The test results from the village municipal well sampling showed no water quality concerns. Yeah, I don't know. If people are still like feeling kind of sick and whatnot, I would probably continue testing. Norfolk Southern published an open letter to East Palestine residents from Shaw on Thursday in which he pledged to stay here for as long as it takes to ensure safety and help East Palestine recover and thrive. Okay. I know there's still a lot of questions without answers. I know you're tired and you're worried. We will not let you down. Well, you already did, because you couldn't be bothered to maintain your shit. And how much resources, how much money is this railroad company actually diverting to help? More federal help was sent to come to East Palestine, according to Office of DeWine, who requested assistance in a conversation with the White House officials on Thursday. That came 2 days after DeWine said he had not seen a need to request more federal aid. Some environmental advocates pushed him to do so. The state is not eligible for assistance from FEMA under federal law because of the nature of the disaster, including a lack of property damage. That means DeWine can't make an emergency declaration as governors do after natural disasters. Instead, the CDC and Health and Human Services will come to East Palestine, including to bring physicians to help examine people who report symptoms. The area has a healthcare situation emerging because residents experiencing symptoms need to see doctors. But no medical reports have been made to the state of people suffering from chemical exposure. Air monitoring data also shows no harmful levels support that. Though not 100%, Tierney said that it's extremely unlikely that people's symptoms are related to the chemicals, and that probably is much higher that you're probably having a wintertime illness. I mean, okay. Again, it just seems an awful coincidence. The symptoms of having a reaction to a volatile organic compound are some of the most common symptoms of viruses and respiratory illnesses. Residents who have reported various symptoms did not appear to believe they were caused by regular colds. Sid Anderson, a Pennsylvania farmer, said he and his family experienced a burning sensation in the mouth, lips, and tongue starting the day after the crash, as well as tongue swelling, runny nose, and watery eyes. Some of the symptoms have diminished but not completely gone away. Our tongues feel like they've been scalded, like if you drank something that was way too hot. His wife and daughter were seen by a dentist and general physician, respectively, and were told that it's hard to tell with stuff like this what the cause is. Reagan and Johnson, the Ohio congressman, said at Thursday's news briefing that anyone with symptoms should contact the county health department in addition to getting a diagnosis from a doctor. If there's something happening that the tests are not detecting, now we're not saying that's the case, but if it were, we would want to know that. Johnson and Senator Sherrod Brown said that they were examining federal regulations for trains carrying hazardous chemicals. Brown said that he would push for better labeling of trains carrying hazardous materials, which may require a change in federal law. Buttigieg tweeted Tuesday that he said that he's ready to work with Congress on furthering, or in some case restoring, our capacity to address rail safety issues. Okay, but like, what are you going to do about this? Okay, because you were supposed to navigate these regulations that were loosened by the Trump administration, but decided to put that off. And now we're here. Yeah, what about long-term effects? Johnson also said Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg should visit East Palestine at a Thursday briefing. The White House spokeswoman, Karine Jean-Pierre, said the White House has absolute confidence in the Transportation Secretary. The governor's spokesman said the Wines administration understood why residents are scared and would hold Norfolk Southern accountable for cleaning up the town and making the citizens of East Palestine whole. Yeah, the problem is, like, it already happened. Yes, Norfolk is partially to blame, but the politicians also. Jarko, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. First time here. Thank you for covering this. No problem. In a letter to Shaw this week, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro accused the rail company of giving him and other officials inaccurate information as they were trying to decide whether to allow toxic vinyl chloride from 5 rail cars to be released into the air, and said the company's mismanagement of the immediate response put first responders and residents at risk. Several class action lawsuits filed by residents against Norfolk demand money and medical monitoring for residents. One lawsuit filed on Wednesday alleged that the company's efforts to clean up the disaster instead worsened the situation. I'm not sure Norfolk Southern could have come up with a worse plan to address this disaster. Norfolk Southern has reimbursed residents for evacuation costs and set up a $1 million fund, though the company had no details on how that money would be distributed. Cool. Yeah, I have zero confidence in this company. My immediate instinct is to be incredibly suspicious and doubtful of what this company is doing, and it's really hard to trust. I'll just leave it at that. It's extremely hard to trust what this company is saying. Residents have worried that accepting payments could affect their ability to sue the rail company later. But yeah, wow. Can you imagine over some like bullshit ass like legalese? They wiggle themselves out of accountability because they can like go back and show like, well, we gave you something. Oh my god. Amazing. The railway is also providing unlimited bottled waters to residents, funding in-home air testing, providing some air purifiers, and taking other steps. Okay. But concerns about long-term impacts continue to mount. Yes, as Jarko pointed out earlier. Aaron Bragg, who works as a risk engineering specialist in the chemical industry, spent Thursday afternoon alerting neighbors to his worries about contamination. Bragg, who lives nearby New Waterford, Ohio, and owns a rental property near this derailment, is also worried about what pollution will mean for the town's economic viability. Am I going to be able to sell that? Pointing to his small cottage. No, Norfolk Southern just needs to level this whole area. Jesus Christ. I don't know if that's like the response, but I mean, Jesus. All right. Yeah, so this is the one that we were that I was referencing. Thank you, Echo Rest of Dragon, about the chickens and the fish. For days, authorities have been telling residents that it's safe to return after a 150-car train carrying hazardous materials derailed on February 3rd. The Ohio Department of Natural Resources said chemical spill resulting from this derailment killed an estimated 3,500 small fish across 7.5 miles of streams as of Wednesday. One resident of North Lima, more than 10 miles from East Palestine, told WKBN of Youngstown that her 5 hens and roosters suddenly died. The day before, a rail operator Norfolk Southern had burned train cars carrying vinyl chloride, a flammable gas, to prevent an explosion. For some people that live near the derailment site, the reports continue to spur fear that they and their animals might be exposed to chemicals through the air and water and soil. Don't tell me it's safe, something going on if the fish is dying and floating in the creek. Yeah, of course. Yeah, Reese said she saw a dead fish in a stream that flows through her backyard. Jenna Gianos, a wedding photographer, said that she had a persistent cough for the past week and a half. She's been drinking bottled water and she's uncomfortable bathing in the water from the bathroom spigot. They've only evacuated 1 mile from that space, and that's just insane to me. The coughing, she said, coughing throughout the conversation. I'm concerned with the long-term health impacts. Yeah. After this controlled burn, the EPA warned the area of possible lingering odors, but noted that the byproducts of vinyl chloride can emit smells at levels lower than what is considered hazardous. Okay. Ohio officials said on Wednesday that residents could return home after air quality samples showed readings at points below safety screening levels for contaminants of concern. The EPA, which is now overseeing the air quality testing, said air monitoring since the fire went out has not detected any levels of concern in the community that can be attributed to the incident at this time. However, the EPA on Friday said in a letter to Norfolk Southern that chemicals carried on the train could continue to be released to the air, surface soils, and surface waters. The EPA said that as of Saturday evening, it has screened the indoor air of 210 homes and hasn't detected any vinyl chloride. Another 218 homes had yet to be screened as of Sunday. The EPA classifies vinyl chloride as a carcinogen. Routine exposure could increase one's risk of liver damage or liver cancer. Short-term exposure to high concentration can cause drowsiness, loss of coordination, disorientation, nausea. Yeah, which some of the residents were reporting nausea, headaches. The guy was reporting about like burning sensations on his tongue. I mean, okay, dudes. East Palestine has scheduled an emergency council meeting for Wednesday to respond to the constituents' concerns. Andrew Welton, a professor of environmental and ecological engineering at the Purdue University, says it's possible the burn created additional compounds the EPA might not be testing for. When they combusted the material, they created other chemicals. The question is, what did they create? Welton added that some of the other chemicals the train carried could also cause headache, nausea, and vomiting or skin irritation. All of which, again, there have been numerous reports of this. In Darlington, Pennsylvania, 4 miles from the accident, managers of Kindred Spirits Rescue Ranch evacuated 77 of their biggest animals, including a yak and a zebu, for 2 days. We could see the plume come up and over us, said the ranch founder. Our eyes were burning and my face could feel it. She said she's concerned about the conditions. The ranch water comes from its own 2 wells, but until experts can test them, her team is using 1 well with a more sophisticated filtration system. Yeah, and just to be clear, there is a difference between your ability to filter water in terms of like I don't know, using a filter, like, like a Brita filter. There's difference between a filter and a purifier. So just be aware, like there's a difference between a filter and and there's filtered water and purified water. Purified water will means that you can get rid of those toxins if it's rated for that. The Ohio Department of Agriculture said the risk to livestock remains low. ODA has not received any official reports regarding the wellness of animals related to the incident. Still, the Ohio Farm Bureau is urging members, Federation is urging members to get the water from their local wells tested as soon as possible. The biggest concern is the water table at this point to see what kind of exposure there has been to these chemicals. There's some level of frustration out there among farmers, Kennedy added. They just want answers and their livelihoods might be at stake here. Yeah, quite literally, in more ways than one. So yeah, that's just kind of like the piggyback article. Yeah, the situation's pretty effed. It's pretty effed, and it's pretty infuriating. I'm not saying that like this could have been prevented 100%, but like, damn, there should have been stricter regulations. There's no reason why more safety protocols should not have been there. Days after crews released and burned toxic chemicals. More down. Tell us about it. Oh, gotcha. Transported by wrecked train in Ohio, residents remain concerned about toxic substances that could be lingering in their evacuated neighborhoods. About 50 cars, including 10 carrying hazardous material, derailed in a fiery crash on Friday, according to Rail Operator Norfolk and National Transportation Safety Board. Vinyl chloride was slowly released into the air from 5 of those cars before crews ignited to get rid of the highly flammable and toxic chemicals in a controlled environment, creating a dark plume of smoke. Residents in the immediate area and there and nearby Pennsylvania were evacuated beforehand because of the health risks from the fumes, and can't yet return Wednesday as of the impact of burning vinyl chloride is a concern. The gas is used to make polyvinyl chloride, hard plastic resin, and plastic products. It is found in products such as credit cards, furniture, and car parts, but most notably used in PVC, plastic piping, a common material for plumbing. Yeah, like, man. More reasons as to like why we need to move away from this stuff. Vinyl chloride is associated with increased risk of liver cancer. The cancers, according to the federal government's National Cancer Institute, the effect was studied in PVC pipe makers who breathed in vinyl chloride and developed rare liver cancers, said Ruth Boone, who studied carcinogens at the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences. If you worked longer, you had a higher risk, and if your exposure level were high, you had a higher risk. Sheesh. Vinyl chloride is dozens of times less toxic per molecule than the U.S. banned insecticide DDT, but more dangerous per part than ammonia natural gas. What happens when it burns? Officials warned that the controlled burn would send phosgene and hydrogen chloride into the air. Phosgene is highly toxic, colorless gas with a strong odor that can cause vomiting and breathing trouble, was used in a weapon in World War I. Jesus Christ. Phosgene is considered safe at 0.1 parts per million during an 8-hour exposure, or 0.2 parts per million for a 15-minute exposure. The 8-hour exposure threshold would have to be even lower when measuring inside people's homes, where residents often spend more than 8 consecutive hours. Hydrogen chloride is a colorless to yellowish gas with strong odor and primary effect on human skin and eyes and eye, nose, and throat irritation. It's considered safe at 5 parts per million for an 8-hour exposure. Yeah, hard pass. Jesus. Hello, kitty. Come on. Look at this kitty. Look at this kitty. She decided to jump on my lap and is now currently purring up a storm. She is very sweet. Alright, you can hang out and do the news with me. Go on, sit. She likes to lay on my lap while I do this, so. Alright. Let's shift gears really quickly. Grand jury, Georgia grand jury recommends. How lovely, yes. Depending on the microphone or your phone, my husband was able to record our cat purring. Oh, through the phone? I gotta try that. Georgia grand jury recommends perjury indictments in Trump election probe finds that no widespread fraud in 2020. Wow, I could have told you that. The Fulton County, Georgia grand jury investigation efforts by former President Trump and his allies to overturn the results of 2020 has recommended to prosecutors that they seek indictments against witnesses who believe that they may have lied during their testimony, according to excerpts from the grand jury report that was released on Thursday. Hey, stop it. A majority of the grand jury believes that perjury may have been committed by one or more witnesses testifying before it. The grand... Excuse you. Can I do the news now? Okay. A majority of the, who believe they may have lied during their testimony, according to experts in a grand jury report released on Thursday. A majority of the grand jury believes that perjury may have been committed by one or more witnesses testifying before it. The grand jury report wrote in the report, the grand jury recommends that the district attorney seek appropriate indictments for such crimes where evidence is compelling. The experts from the report does not list any names of whose grand jury members believe may have committed perjury. Separately, the grand jury, have also found by, has also found by unanimous vote that no widespread... Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna have to hold my microphone. That no widespread fraud took place in the Georgia 2020 presidential election and the results that could result in overturning that election. Outside of this, in the few paragraphs that were released to the report's introduction, conclusion, the section on perjury, there were no details regarding whether or not the grand jury recommends changes for anyone related to the efforts of overturning anyone related to efforts to overturn the election. The report does not name any potential targets for indictment, nor does it offer any rationale for its allegations of perjury. It does not mention Trump by name or any of the 75 witnesses interviewed as part of the probe. In a statement, a spokesperson for Trump said the long-awaited important decision of the Georgia report, which does not even mention President Trump's name, has nothing to do with the president because President Trump did absolutely nothing wrong. No, it doesn't mention anybody by name. The president participated in 2 perfect phone calls. Jesus, did he write this? Regarding the election integrity in Georgia, which he is entitled to, in fact, as president, it was President Trump's constitutional duty to ensure election safety, security, and integrity. No? No? That's not how that works at all. But, okay. Sure, dude. Experts from the report were released following an order. Like, just to be clear, no, the president doesn't have a constitutional duty to ensure election safety, security, and integrity. Elections aren't necessarily like a federal thing. Elections are generally run by states. It's a Secretary of State of each individual state that kind of oversees elections in that state. And then from there, like the counties and whatnot handle their part of the election. So no, it's not up to him or the president or the executive branch at all. Perfect indeed. Excerpts from the news from the report were released following an order earlier this week from the Georgia judge overseeing the case. The majority of the long-anticipated report, the final product of months-long grand jury investigation into potential 2020 election interference in the state, remains sealed on order of the Fulton County Judge Robert McBurney. McBurney's ruling came after he heard arguments last month over whether or not to publicly release the report. Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis argued for the report to remain sealed, arguing that it was important to be mindful of protecting future defendant rights. Willis also said during the hearing that charging decisions were imminent. Thomas Clyde, a lawyer representing a coalition of media outlets that included ABC News, urged McBurney to order the release of the report based on existing case law and a genuine public interest in what these jurors found. Though the special grand jury does not have the power to bring indictments, it has the power to make recommendations regarding potential charges. It would then be up to the district attorney to determine whether or not to pursue them. According to the order from the judge, a full report provided just that, and a roster of who should or should not be indicted and for what in relation to the conduct and aftermath of the 2020 general election in Georgia. Those recommendations, however, are for the district attorney's eyes only for now. Yeah. So we'll see if anything else happens. Like nothing and election since the 20... Yeah, he's still living in 2020. But yeah, we'll see if anything else happens here, but okay. Oh, shoot. No. All right. Let's talk about this. The Doomsday Glacier is in trouble, scientists say, after finding surprising formations under the ice shelf. Cool. It just keeps getting better, folks. Antarctica's Doomsday Glacier, nicknamed because its collapse could drive catastrophic sea level rise, is melting rapidly in an unexpected ways. The Thwaites Glacier is roughly the size of Florida and is located in West Antarctica. Parts of what holds it in place is an ice shelf that juts out onto the surface of the ocean. The shelf acts like a cork, holding the glacier back on the land and providing an important defense against sea level rise. But the crucial ice shelf is highly vulnerable as the ocean warms. In 2 studies published by the journal Nature on Wednesday, scientists revealed while the pace of the melting underneath is slower than previously thought, deep cracks and staircase formations in the ice are melting much faster. As climate change accelerates, the Thwaites Glacier is rapidly changing. Every year, it sheds billions of tons of ice into the ocean, contributing to about 4% of annual sea level rise. Particularly rapid melting happens at the point where the glacier meets the seafloor, which has retreated nearly 9 miles since the late 1990s, exposing a larger slice of ice to relatively warm ocean water. The complete collapse of the Thwaites itself could lead to sea level rise of more than 2 feet, which would be enough to devastate coastal communities around the world. But the Thwaites is also acting like a natural dam to the surrounding ice in West Antarctica, and scientists have estimated global sea level could ultimately rise about 10 feet if the Thwaites collapsed. While it could take hundreds or thousands of years, the ice shelf could disintegrate much sooner, triggering a retreat of the glacier which is both unstable and potentially irreversible. To better understand the reshaping and remote coastline, a team of the US and British scientists from the International Thwaites Glacier Collaboration traveled to the glacier in 2019. Using hot water drill, they bored a hole nearly 2,000 feet deep into the ice and over a 5-day period sent various instruments to take measurements from the glacier. The instruments included a torpedo-like robot called IceFin, which allows them to access areas previously almost impossible to survey. The remotely operated vehicle took images and recorded information about the temperature and salinity of the water as well as ocean currents. It was able to swim up these really dynamic places and take data from the sea floor all the way to the ice, said Brittany Schmidt, an associate professor at Cornell University and a lead author on one of the papers. The results of the research reveal a nuanced and complex picture. Peter Davis, an oceanographer at the British Antarctic Survey and a lead author on the other paper, told CNN. The scientists found that even though the glacier is receding, the rate of melting beneath much of the flat part of the ice shelf was lower than expected. The melt rate averaged 2 to 5 meters a year, according to the study, less than previous models had projected. The melting is being suppressed by a layer of colder... Oh, hello. It's a little ladybug. Come here, little ladybug. I'm trying to grab the ladybug so I can move it. There we are. I don't know if you can see it. But it's on my finger. Well, I guess this ladybug's gonna hang out with me for a moment. Alrighty. So I've got a cat on my lap and a ladybug on my finger. Alright. Maybe I can put the ladybug on the top of the microphone stand. Come on, little dude. You'll be alright. Yes, they eat aphids. Ladybug Johnson, there you go. Well, it's just gonna stay on my finger, I guess. Okay. The glacier is still in trouble. What we have found is that despite small amounts of melting, there's still rapid glacier retreat, so it seems like it doesn't take a lot to push this glacier out of balance. Yeah, and just to be clear, if this goes, that's a humongous problem here. Yeah. The scientists were also surprised by a second finding. They discovered an underwater glacial landscape much more complex than expected, dominated by strange staircase terraces and crevices. Big cracks going all the way through the ice shelf. Melting was particularly rapid in these areas. The research team found warm, salty water was able to funnel through and widen the cracks and crevices, contributing to the instabilities of the glacier. The glacier is not just melting up, but it's melting out. Melting along the sloped ice of cracks and terraces may become the primary trigger for the ice shelf collapse. Yeah. We knew that these glaciers were changing. We knew it was related to ocean temperature, and we knew there was melting going on. We knew that the atmosphere was warming, and we knew that the glaciers were falling apart. What the latest research does provide is the missing pieces to work out exactly how this change is happening. Yeah. Cool. So that's good. That's nice. And just to piggyback off that, the world risks descending into a climate doom loop. The world is at risk of descending into a climate doom loop, a think tank report has warned. It says simply coping with the escalating impacts of the climate crisis could draw resources and focus away from the efforts to slash carbon emissions, making the situation worse. The damage caused by global heating across the globe is increasingly clear, and recovering from climate disasters is already costing billions of dollars. True. Furthermore, these disasters can cause cascading problems including food, water, food, and energy crises, as well as increased migration and conflicts, all draining countries' resources. The research for the Institute for Public Policy Research and the Chatham House said a current example of the impact of climate crisis complicating efforts to reduce emissions and other action was a debate over whether keeping the global temperature below 1.5, the international goal, was still possible. I'm gonna be honest, no, probably not. Yeah. Those arguing that 1.5 was still possible risk perpetuating complacency that today's slow pace of action was sufficient. The researcher said, while those arguments not possible risk supporting fatalism that little could be done now or extreme approaches such as geoengineering. Yeah, which no, not exactly a fan. Not really. Avoiding a doom loop requires a more honest acceptance of politicians of the great risks posed by the climate crisis, the researcher said, including the looming prospect of tipping points and the huge scale of economic and societal transformation required to end the global heating. Right, like, again, I mean, the issue here is that we're at the point where, like, radical action is not, like, an option, but a necessity at this point. Radical action is not, is without radical action, we will have radical failure. At this point, it would be one thing if we've been slowly throughout the decades decarbonizing and slowly throughout the decades moving to a more renewable or sustainable system. But we haven't. And so now we're here. And the urgency is in this very sentence. The fact that, like, we are close, if not have already kicked off the dominoes that will cause those tipping points to cross over. At that point, we can't really do much about it. That's kind of where the urgency is coming from. And no, there's no widespread honest acceptance by politicians, which is a big problem. Which is a massive problem. And the huge scale of economic and societal transformation required to end the global heating, the climate crisis. This should be combined with narratives that focus on the great benefits climate action brought and ensuring policies were fairly implemented. We've entered, sadly, a new chapter in the climate and ecological crisis. The phony war is coming to an end, and the real consequences are now present us with difficult decisions. Right, this is exactly what I was alluding to. We absolutely can drive to a more sustainable, more equitable world, but our ability to navigate through the shocks while staying focused on steering the storm is key. On the edge of runaway climate change and sea level rise. Essentially, I mean, if we haven't locked it in already, those tipping points will cause, these problems. Stop it. You know better than that. What's the matter with you? Hey. There we go. Okay. There is a doom loop The consequence of the climate crisis draws focus and resources from tackling the cause, leading to higher temperatures and ecological loss, which then creates more severe consequences, diverting more attention and resources, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I mean, this is something to pay attention to. It noted, for example, Africa's economy was already losing up to 15% of GDP a year to the worsening effects of global heating, cutting into funds needed for climate action and emphasizing the need for support of developed countries, which emit the most carbon dioxide. The thing I'm most concerned about is that we're not factoring in the cascading risks to society. It's not just the big city smashing storms that we should be concerned about. It's the consequences that ripple through our globalized systems. Yes, for the UK may not necessarily be sheer cost of responding to disasters as the biggest distraction. It could be that it has to deal with this has to deal at the same time with a food price shock and resurgent nativism, playing off fears about the so-called climate refugees. Labourne said that the narratives used to describe the situation were very important. For example, he said greener transport was not simply about switching to electric vehicles, but about better public transport and redesigned cities that meant people were closer to their jobs, education, and healthcare as they needed. This in turn meant reevaluating local authority budgets and taxes to implement the changes. True. Unfairness in climate policy could drive the doom loop. Labourne said that if people felt unaffordable changes were being forced on them, then they would reject the need for a green transition. He added, but if you have fairness at the heart of things, it can be instead a virtuous cycle. If you're in a situation where people recognize that switching to a heat pump and having better insulation will be better for them regardless of the climate crisis. Making progress on climate action resilient to difficulties posed by climate impacts was also crucial. I'm a massive fan of citizens' assembly because if people feel they have a role in decision-making, they're more likely to maintain their support even in a future in which shocks start to rack up. They become moments where we actually do build back better. Huh. Nice. Nice. I like that. Bob Ward of the Grantham Research Institute. Unlike after the 2008 crash in the COVID pandemic, Bob Ward of the Grantham Research Institute on Climate Change and the London School of Economics said that this report rightly highlights at the critical point we have reached, namely the increasing likelihood that global temperatures will rise more than 1.5. This does not mean we should abandon the target. No, it just means that we should be realistic, and it just should instill a sense of urgency, if anything. Our aim should still be radical emission cuts to try to avoid breaching that 1.5, but we should now be also considering what happens if we continue to fail. I mean, yeah, but at the same time, it's no excuse for inaction. This will mean bringing temperatures back down, and we will have to invest in geoengineering options such as carbon dioxide removal and even solar radiation management. But it also means that we'll have to spend far more on dealing with climate damage, which will make it more difficult to make that transition to a sustainable, inclusive, and resilient world. Yeah, so maybe we should get on that. London has the Thames Barrier, which is less known. Without it, London would flood several times a year. All right, folks. Well, we did it. I was going to go into this article because it's kind of a meme. The fact that they even decided to write this as an opinion that Nikki Haley shouldn't just be counted out. Based on this headline alone, this person should be laughed out of political commentary. Nikki Haley doesn't have a shot. Doesn't have a reasonable shot at winning the nomination. Is this wishful thinking by a lib? I have no idea. Probably, but this is laughable at best. I used to skate where that picture was taken. Oh shoot, Nikki has nothing new to say. No, it's basically the only shtick that she has is that she wants to present a alternative to Trump, but the base. Haley is quoting the boomers. No, she's not a Trump twin. The base is firmly, or at least at least there's a concentrate base that they're just gonna vote for Trump. Okay? And like the boomers most likely are already on board with Trump. Like she doesn't have a shot. I'm sorry. She doesn't have a shot. She's not going to win the nomination. And by some even if by some miracle, in a hypothetical scenario where she wins the nomination, I don't see her having a national profile to win like a general election anyways. But yeah, this headline is laughable at best. I actually do have one more. Well, maybe. Let me see if I can pull it up. Let's see if we have this. Right. Effective polarization, a poisonous cocktail of othering and aversion and moralization, has prompted an explosion of research as a threat to democratic norms and procedures mounts. Intensely felt divisions over race, ethnicity, and culture have become more deeply entrenched in the American political system, reflected in part in the election denialism found in roughly a third of the electorate, and in state legislative initiatives giving politicians the power to overturn election results. Yeah. That might be a problem. Many researchers have begun to focus on this question. Is there a causal relationship between intensification of hostility between Democrats and Republicans and the deterioration of support for the democratic standards? I don't think that this is where it's coming from. Perhaps this is a symptom, but we'll see. Growing effective polarization and negative partisanship. Jennifer McCoy and Murat Summer, political scientists at Georgia State University and Koç University, Istanbul, write in a 2019 essay towards a theory of pernicious polarization and how it harms democracies. Comparative evidence and possible remedies contribute to a perception among citizens that the opposing party and their policies pose a threat to the nation or an individual's way of life. Most dangerously for democracy, these perceptions of threat open the door to undemocratic behavior by an incumbent and his or her supporters to stay in power, or by opponents to remove the incumbent from power. That division is a strategy of the GOP. It didn't arise spontaneously. Right, that's why I'm asking if this is like not if not cause, but a symptom of. And you can expect this more. You can expect this more. You best believe that in 2024, when that election comes around, most likely again in a hypothetical, if Trump wins the nomination, it is likely that he will. That he will win the Republican nomination. And it ends up being a Trump versus Joe Biden rematch. It's going to be a very close election, and that's scary. That is scary. And it takes root in low empathy people who have a tendency to other people and groups of people. Yeah, that's where the appeal tends to flow. What is the act of effective polarization? In 2016, Liliana Mason, a political scientist at Johns Hopkins, I just committed a cardinal sin, wrote that when a voter's partisan social identity merges with his or her racial, religious, sexual, cultural identities, these various identities work together to drive an emotional type of polarization that cannot be explained by parties or issues alone. Hey, get back here. Mason argues that a threat to a party's status tends to drive anger, while reassurance drives enthusiasm. So party loss generates very negative, particularly angry emotional reactions. This anger is driven not simply by dissatisfaction with the potential policy consequences, but by a much deeper, more primal psychological reaction to a group threat. Partisans are angered by a party loss because it makes them as individuals feel like losers too. That's kind of weird, but okay. I'm sure that this is a genuine feeling. It's just weird. Because, like, if you're voting for like a Democrat, and that Democratic candidate loses, I guarantee you, it's just weird to think to have such a reaction to you. You think that what the Democratic Party winning means automatic salvation? It just seems weird. Like, I understand that this is a very real feeling that people have. Or like when Republicans consistently harp on the idea that the Democratic Party is like this radical socialist adrenochrome drinking, whatever. And if they win, like, that's it. It's GG for the country, which is ridiculous. I understand that they feel that way, but it's just kind of weird to think that you thought that the Republican Party is going to save you? Okay. One optimistic proposal to reduce partisan animosity is to focus public attention on the commonality of Democratic and Republican voters in their shared identity as Americans. Yeah, but the problem is, I don't think that's gonna work. Both sides are made to feel unsafe about the other. Neither offers actual safety. Right, like the Democratic Party is not going to save you. The Republican Party is absolutely not going to save you. In fact, I would almost argue the opposite. The opposite. Shared identity as Americans. Matthew Lewandowski, a political scientist at University of Pennsylvania, has written extensively on this subject, including in his 2018 paper, Americans Not Partisans, Can Priming American National Identity Reduce Effective Polarization, and his soon-to-be published book, Our Common Bonds, Using What Americans Share to Help Bridge the Partisan Divide. Lewandowski contends in his 2018 paper that when subjects' sense of American national identity is heightened, they come to see members of the opposing party's fellow Americans rather than rival partisans. As a result, they like the opposing party more, and they're reducing effective polarization. It depends, because I would also then ask, okay, do they want to de-escalate, or are we just going to de-escalate one-sided, I forgot the term. It's like a one-sided de-escalation. I mean, it's 2023 and we still have the ex-president who's currently running as a candidate and who's most likely to win the nomination as well, talking about how the election is rigged and all this bullshit. What do we do with that? There are serious problems, however, with the depolarization strategy based on American identity, problems that can go to the heart of the relentless power of issues of race, ethnicity, immigration, and splinter the electorate. Yeah, I would also say like we're also approaching like kind of weird territory when we start trying to rally like in a nationalistic kind of way. Because the last thing I want is like heightened nationalism. Um that also seems to be counterproductive. The last thing I want is like heightened nationalism, nationalistic tendencies. Um, I would rather have people uniting around policies, like S.V. Harkin said, more unionization, perhaps rallying around like healthcare, which we still don't have, rallying around things like education. I don't know, but that's just me. In their December of 2022 paper, America is the Eye of the Beholder, American Identity, Racial Sorting and Effective Polarization Among White Americans, Ryan Dawkins and Abigail Hansen wrote, white Democrats and white Republicans have systematically different ideas about what attributes are essential to being a member of the national community. Second, the association between partisanship and those competing conceptions. Yeah, like, and it's like bizarre because like, you know, the opposition, you know, conservatives and whatnot quite often refer to to their perceived opposition as like un-American, not patriotic or not patriotic or whatever, by advocating for shit that would actually help Americans. So we've got like layers. We've got layers to this shit. Hey, Decapolion, how's it going? Second, the association between partisanship and these competing conceptions of American identity among white Americans has gotten stronger during the Trump era, largely because of Democrats adopting a more racially inclusive conception of American identity. Lastly, appeals to American identity only dampen out partisan animosity when the demographic composition of the opposing party matches their racialized conception of the American identity. What? When there's a mismatch between people's racialized conception of American identity and the composition of the opposition party, American identity is associated with higher levels of partisan hostility. Okay. It's all good, just getting stoned on break at work. Nice. Dawkins and Hansen acknowledge that the national identity is perhaps the only superordinate identity that holds the promise of uniting partisans and closing the social distance between white Democrats and white Republicans. But they continue, if conceptions, yeah, but like again, what do we do? What do we do with this core of the population that insists and that is firmly believing that, you know, the election was rigged and stolen, and like if it happens again meaning my team lost, then we will pick up arms. Like what do we do with that? That's like my question. I mean, you can talk to people one-on-one, especially if you know these people. You can talk to people one-on-one, and you can try to talk to them on their level about issues that are important, about issues that affect them. I mean, especially if they're like family. I mean, you must, I would assume, you must know how to talk to them if they're like a close friend. You can tell them that there are concerns, that you may want to leave the door open if they're not willing to talk right now. But like, you know, I don't know how we deal with that necessarily. Give them their own states. Definitely the partisanship has suddenly bled into some left-wing thinking lately, because I think they acknowledge that to bring back people who have fallen to the right, you kind of have to distract them with something equally appealing, mostly because rationalizing their predicament doesn't work. Right, because it's not rational to begin with. Like, what am I supposed to say to somebody who's patriotism? Oh, let me reread that then. The patriotism has subtly bled. Hey, come back here. Come here, little ladybug. You'll be alright. I just don't want it to go too far. Definitely the patriotism has subtly bled into some left-wing thinking because I think they acknowledge that to bring back people who have fallen to the right, you kind of have to distract them with something equally appealing. Because mostly rational. Yeah, because it's not rational to begin with. And like, yeah, okay, you can try to appeal, I guess. Hey. Jeez. You can try to appeal to them, I guess. It's just that, like, I don't know if, like, what I want to do is, as a byproduct of that, encourage, like, more nationalistic tendencies. That's the only thing. I mean, like, yeah, I think that you can try to do it that way. I'm just concerned about doing that as, like, a wholesale thing. What? I understand that they're racist, but aren't they afraid for a country under... What? Can you elaborate on what you're saying? I don't know what any of this means. What? Anyways. China. Whose emote is this? Oh, of course it's left flank bets. Hello, person that has been banned in like 10,000 accounts. Hi, hello. Of course it's left flank bets. Love that emote. I do not want to be doomer, but Trump and MAGA suffered blows. It's not the same as 2016. No, you're right. I think it's worse. I think it's worse. Patriotism is definitely a unifying force because it pushes the idea of people being a part of a big picture. I think a good example of how it can work not in a non-dangerous way would be France, which is very patriotic, but very much all citizens of France, but it doesn't really rely on exclusion or hostility. That's the problem, though. The right kind of twist that right there at the end. The right kind of twist that, which is a problem. We don't see it that way like the French do. Socialism doesn't work. Cool, dude. Nice argument. Wow, amazing. Encouraging nationalistic tendencies is dangerous and does the MAGA Nazi work. I think that it can. I'm just concerned that that's what it would turn into here. Does that make sense? Here, I've got a equally good counter argument to that statement. Capitalism doesn't work. There you go. Capitalism is more dangerous. No, actually, nationalism is more... I don't know. Whatever. Socialism is more dangerous than that. You haven't even made an argument, dude. You have made 0 arguments in the 3 messages that you have sent here. Capitalism isn't working right now. Yeah, I know. I'm saying that the level of intellectual rigor that we're getting here is on par with just saying something doesn't work without actually understanding. Capitalism is working great. The standard of living has never been higher in history. Lamau. Oh, Lord. Bless your heart. I just followed Mormon Cato. True. The intellectual rigor on display makes me want to follow them too. You're right. It basically comes back to the big debates of comparison between ethnic nationalism and civic nationalism. Yeah, but these are, I think these are like, stop trying to bite my cables. But these are like super rigorous, like academic kind of like debates. I mean, super technical debates. Stop it. But basically, for like, I guess, being reductive, it's just like how people perceive it. Follow capitalism, not me. No thanks. You've given me 0 reasons and 0 arguments so far. Why would anybody follow anything without like without any type of like argumentation? You're just saying things. You're just saying things. You're gonna have to try a little bit harder. You're gonna have to try a little bit harder. Anywho, in August 2022, paper, does effective polarization undermine democratic norms or accountability? Maybe not. David E. Brockman, a political scientist at Berkeley, Joshua Kalla, a political scientist at Yale, and Sean Westwood, a political scientist at Dartmouth, pointedly rejected the claim made by a number of scholars that if citizens were less effectively polarized, that they would likely to endorse norm violations, overlook partisan politicians' shortcomings, oppose compromise, and adopt their party's view or misperceive economic conditions. A large influential literalist speculates as such. Capitalism has defeated socialism in the 20th. Okay, again, you're just saying things to say things, but nothing of the past. Let's see, how many? Nothing of the past 6 messages has been an argument. The standard of living would go up regardless of capitalism. One thing that is a result of capitalism is wealth disparity that has never been this high. 6 people hold 50% of the wealth on this planet, and you think these are good things? Yeah, of course. Yeah, bumper stickers at best. Bumper stickers at best. Capitalism is crushing me? Yeah, it's crushing millions of people in this country. It's crushing tens of millions of people. But again, this is the 7th message, and not a single argument has been provided. So yeah, dude, you're not convincing anybody. Sorry. Instead, Brockman, Kalla, and Westwood contend their own studies find no evidence that these changes in effective polarization influence a broad range of political behaviors, only interpersonal attitudes. Our results suggest caution about the widespread assumption that reducing effective polarization would meaningfully bolster democratic norms or accountability. Brockman and his co-authors measured the effect of reducing effective polarization on 5 domains: electoral accountability, adopting one's party policy positions, support for legislative bipartisanship, support for democratic norms, and perception of objective conditions. I think that, like, the question is, like, yeah, you can't really move anywhere without, like, having a conversation based on reality, right? True. Socialism in America is working great for the rich. True. Mormon Cato probably hasn't read that I have a diploma. I have a diploma. Hold on. Let me pull that up. Mormon Cato doesn't understand that I have a diploma certificate. It's right there on screen. Of advanced, given to me by the Advanced International School of Bullshit Detection. Okay. So I'm sorry to say, you're gonna have to try harder. This article is great in my opinion. I really liked it, but I think the only thing I'd be concerned about, and imagine the people cited are the same, is that these methods being described, despite being great, are vastly insufficient for the scale of the problem at hand, which is kind of scary to consider. Even the best minds might not be enough. Yeah, I mean, like, that's why I'm, like, kind of poking holes in this idea. I mean, they're definitely on to something. I'm just concerned where some of these byproducts might lead us. Our results, they write, run contrary to literature widespread speculation. In these political domains, our estimates of the causal effects of reducing effective polarization are consistently null. In an email, West would argue that the whole endeavor to fix anti-democratic attitudes by changing levels of partisan animosity anti-democratic attitudes by changing levels of partisan animosity sounds promising, but it is like trying to heal a broken bone and a gangrenous legs, where the real problem is the car accident that caused both injuries in the first place. Westwood's point is well taken. In a country marked by battles over sex, religion, gender, regional disparity, and economic growth. Yeah, but who... but who's, like, the primary problem here? Like, bro, conservatives can just leave people the fuck alone. Mormon Cato, is there an argument that, like, you actually want to present? Because if you're just here to, like, espouse, like, nothing, then, like, why are you here? You have not made a single argument this entire time. Is there a point somewhere in there? Westwood's point is well taken. In a country marked by battles over... Oh, yeah, okay. John Vogel, a sociologist, Stanford. No, you're not giving me any arguments at all. You're just saying certain things happen. You're not giving me an argument. And somebody already addressed that point. A sociologist at Stanford and 8 of his colleagues report similar results in their October 2022 article, Interventions Reducing Effective Polarization Do Not. I gave you an example of how capitalism reforms help people. Yes, and this was responded already too. When have socialist reforms helped people? Bro, it's the left wing that has fought for workers' rights. It was the left wing that fought for universal programs, even in capitalist countries. Even in capitalist countries. It was the left wing who fought and successfully won reforms that help people. Not just labor, but universal programs as well. Workers are helped by capitalism, which increases the number of jobs. That's not how that works. You have like a 5-year-old's understanding of how this, of how economics works. Like a literal 5-year-old's understanding of how this works. Their wages don't go up because number of jobs go up. That's not how the labor market even works. Oh God, you don't even understand how any of this works. I don't think you even understand how capitalism works. The law of supply and demand works all the time? No, not even. No, that's not even a universal thing. That's not even a universal thing. You just said workers are helped by capitalism, which increases the number of jobs. No. so their wages go up. No, wages don't go up because number of jobs go up. That's not how that works. I guess only in Marxist I'm not even using Marxist theory. I just have a better understanding of capitalism than you do, which is kind of sad. Because then my question would further be then, why do you simp for a system that you don't even fully understand? Why would you blindly simp for a system that you don't even fully understand? I'm not even using Marxist theory or Marxist analysis to any of this. I just have a better understanding of capitalism than you do. Oh, God. Unlike you, I can actually articulate. Unlike you, I can actually articulate as to why. As to why I prefer. As to why I prefer the left. Because I believe that workers should. I believe that workers should reap the fruits of their own labor. Workers should own what they produce. It's that simple. It's that simple. Workers should own what they produce. No, workers get exploited. Workers get exploited for their work. Anyways. It's hilarious that, like, people, like, stan a system that they don't even understand. Whereas I can actually articulate why I believe in what I believe. Workers get a fair wage. They don't, actually. They don't. Which, again, illustrates your childish level of understanding of how this works. Anyways. Yeah, Robbo. It's working so good, dude. It's working so good. Everything is fine. In fact, we should do more of it. Oh, man. Imagine trying to... Imagine backing up a system that you yourself don't even fully understand. You're just like blindly backing that system up. I think it's hilarious how you couldn't even articulate that. You had to immediately reverse it back to me by saying, why do you? You can't even answer that question because you don't understand. Anyways. Interventions reducing effective polarization do not necessarily improve anti-democratic attitudes. Scholars and practitioners alike, they write, have invested a great effort in developing depolarization interventions that reduce effective... Oh, man. Good memes. Reduce effective polarization. Critically, however, it remains unclear whether these interventions reduce anti-democratic attitudes or only change sentiments towards out-partisans. Why? Because much prior work has been focused on treating effective polarization itself and assumed that these interventions would in turn improve downstream outcomes, pose consequential threats to democracy. Although this assumption may seem reasonable, there's little evidence evaluating its implications for the benefit of depolarization interventions. In a mega study identifying successful intervention to strengthen Americans' democratic attitudes, a separate analysis of 32,059 American voters, testing 25 interventions designed to reduce anti-democratic attitudes, a partisan animosity, however vocal in many of its co-authors, Michael Stagnero, James Chu, Sophia Pink, Joseph Murnick, Crystal Redicop, Matthew Cashman, James Druckmann, David Rand, and Robert Willer significantly amended their earlier findings. In an email, Willer explained what was going on. One of the key findings of this new study is that we found some overlap between interventions that reduced effective polarization and interventions that reduce effective polarization and the interventions that reduce one specific anti-democratic attitude. Support for undemocratic candidates. Specifically, we found that several of the interventions that were most effective in reducing American partisan, like dislike of rival partisan, also made them more likely to say that they would not vote for a candidate from their party who is engaged in several anti-democratic... Oh, come back. Don't go anywhere, Mr. Ladybug. There we go. Ooh. There we go. Hang tight, little bug. You'll be alright. Engage in several anti-democratic actions, such as not acknowledging the results of the lost election. There we go. Anti-democratic. Oh my goodness. Anti-democratic candidates are going to unite us all. Cool. Hey, really quickly, I'm just curious. Competition doesn't always reduce prices. But you should know that. Because you're supposed to be knowledgeable about the systems that you support, right? You should know that competition doesn't always decrease prices. Because that's not how that always works. Real quick, can you answer that question? What do you think happened in the train derailment? In Ohio. What do you think happened there? Oh, you haven't been following the topic? That's very convenient. I've noticed no one on Twitch has started a fundraiser for Ohio residents. Why is that? I don't know. It's Twitch? Okay. Volko and his co-authors have found two interventions that were most effective. The first is known as the Braley intervention for Alea Braley, a political scientist at Berkeley and the lead author, The Subversion Dilemma, Why Voters Who Cherish Democracy Participate in Democratic Backsliding. In Braley intervention, participants are asked what... yeah, basically profits over safety. Corporation cut corners and people died. Yep, the same thing happened in California where a private company, PG&E, since you're not from the U.S., which is strange, since you're not from the U.S., PG&E was a private company that essentially was responsible for a massive wildfire that killed people. So yeah, there's your capitalism. accidents only happen in capitalism? No. No. I'm saying that a private company was responsible. So capitalism isn't all roses, my friend. Capitalism kills. The second top performing intervention. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Let me focus. Using violence to block laws, reducing number of polling stations to help the other party, or not accepting the results of the elections if they lose, if they are given the correct answer, and the answers make clear that the other party does not support actions that undermine democracy. The second top performing intervention was to give participants a video showing vivid imageries of societal instability and violence following democratic collapse in several countries, before concluding to the imagery of the U.S. January 6th insurrection. To our knowledge, Vilda wrote in the email, this is the first evidence that the same stimuli could both reduce effective polarization and improve some aspects of American democratic attitude, and it suggests that these two factors may be causally linked more than prior for work, including our own. Kao disputed the conclusion Wooler drew from the mega study. The most successful intervention in the mega study for reducing anti-democratic views, for example, was able to reduce anti-democratic views by correcting misperceptions about the other party's willingness to subvert democracy. But it depends. It's very clear and documented what the Republican Party did. Mormons isn't a race. There aren't races in human species. Okay, hold on. We're approaching Icarus. Icarus, you're flying too close to the sun, my friend. You're embarrassingly stumbling your way into trying to make arguments for a system you yourself just admit and are showing that you don't even understand. You want my advice? Quit. Quit while you're ahead. Send in the clowns. Thank you, Michael Hasser. I agree with Josh's point that most effective interventions for reducing supportive and democratic practices and candidates were interventions that were pretty clearly crafted with the primary goal in mind of targeting democratic attitudes. And while we find some relationships here that suggest that there is a path to reducing the support for undemocratic candidates via reducing effective polarization, the larger point that most interventions reducing effective polarization do not affect anti-democratic attitudes still stands, and our evidence continues to contradict the widespread. Holy yikes! I think this is like a long-winded way of saying, like, we have ideas, but mostly inconclusive. Yeah, like this entire academia in a nutshell is basically, yes, I was like, oh my god, did we just like go over an entire like document and like basically just like people going back and forth and then being like, you know what? We don't know. Kid didn't even know the difference between a race and cult. Yeah, I know. Like, just a childish level of understanding of how any of this works, and yet somehow manages to like blindly accept the system without fully understanding it. I think you have to be willing to accept unanswered questions to really be. Yeah, no, I understand. I was just like thinking that we were gonna get something at the end of this, but maybe I'm just reading way too many like, you know, mainstream articles, not like heavy academic ones. But yeah. It was very, very funny. Yeah, I mean, I've got my degree right there, so I don't know why they didn't expect that to happen. Listen, chat, my degree is very, very serious, okay? And it's very, very legit. It's plain as day. Advanced International School of Bullshit Detection, okay? I got my credentials right there. Libertarians have a simplified model of the world that is internally consistent, feels so true, but has no connections to reality. True! It's very incoherent. I mean, like, you ask a couple of quick questions and, like, the entire thing starts to fall apart like a house of cards. Anywho. We did it, folks. We did it. Whew, we powered through that one. Religious beliefs of the invisible hand of the market. Yeah, the invisible hand of the market that also requires government infrastructure to even operate or to even exist to begin with. Oh, man. You love to see it, folks. A complete lack of understanding of how any of this works. Anyways. Alright, folks. I have got to run. Thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you to all the new follows. Thank you to Bipedal Meatbag for the subscription. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Michael Hassler. Wonderful, wonderful mod. Thank you for the stream. Alio with the 11 biddies coming in at the 11th hour. Thank you so much. Thank you, mods. Yes, 100%. Thank you, Michael Hassler. I really appreciate it. Keeping order in the chat. Naughty kitty indeed. Catch you soon, mate. Thank you, It's the Morton. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you, Alio Share, Kraylio, James Napper, Robo Gaming, SV Harkin. Thank you for mixing it up in the chat. I appreciate it. You guys are what makes this channel grow. If you haven't already, hit the follow button on your way out. It really does help us out. You get 6 free emotes, including Bakita the cat. Head on over to the YouTubes. Click the subscribe button. It really does help us out. We're here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. I really appreciate all of your support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. Please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. See ya. Thank you, Michael Hassler. I appreciate it. Thank you. What happened to Sunday streams? We'll try to get that. We'll try to get that, Echo Resto Dragon. It's been tough. It's been tough on the weekends. But we definitely got to get back on the saddle with that one. Alright, folks. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.